So we have a really juicy July that is coming up, and let's buckle up and let's talk about July forecast. Now, I don't know how June was for you. For me, it was a little bit. We had a couple of time just to catch our breath, de-stress for a little bit, because we're gonna need it now for round. I was gonna say round two, but this is more than round two. And I'm still not over March and April and that time when we had 100 planets in Aries. Remember that time? Remember? So today let's talk about the forecast for July. There are so many things coming up. I don't even know where to start. Let's try to start at the beginning, right? We do have So there are quite a few things going on. I have my notes here, so if I'm looking down, that's what's happening. We do have Venus that is squaring Mars in Gemini for most of the month. So this is like a really pulling up my chart here. All of a sudden, it's just everything disappears when you need them. That is a major theme of the month. Pretty much going on is Venus squaring Mars. Why is that very important? Because Venus usually is all about it's that Venus is probably the most popular planet, the most popular personal planet. Because I always hear people want to know, where is my Venus line? Where should I go to find love? Where should I go to find money? And we get it. Venus is all about all these things, right? We think about Taurus and Libra, and we want some of that energy. So having Venus, which is all about all this good stuff, in a square, squaring is pretty much challenging. It's like a 90-degree aspect, and it's that challenging. You don't have to know much about astrology. Just think about square as there's tension. You're going to feel it. Think about two lines that are meeting in the perpendicular way. So one is going in another direction, the other one is 90-degree, and they're meeting. They're going in two different directions, so there is tension. This is why we often say the squares are tensions, and that's also where most of the change happen. Because let's be honest, if we didn't have those tension, we wouldn't change anything. I know I wouldn't. Like, why would I, right? If it ain't broke, why change it? So if it's not broken, why change it, right? So I just wanted to say that because be keep in mind about that squaring tension between Venus and Mars, because what that means is you might feel. I'm very careful about saying what they represent because I don't want to put words into your mind and things like that. I want everyone to experience things by themselves. So I keep those definitions a little bit light to give space for your own experience, right? But often that can show up through very mixed signals, intense mixed signals, and then because in a lot of intensity because we do have Mars that is pretty much in Gemini, and which is ruled by Mercury, the god of the mind, of communication, of words, fast information. And then on the other side, we do have Venus that is going to be hanging out in Virgo as they're pretty much squaring and getting closer to an exact point. And Virgo is also ruled by Mercury. So you can think about it's a lot of tension. Gemini, think about Gemini as this avalanche. What's avalanche in English? Like we're putting in some French words into the podcast, but it's like this wrath of information that often you didn't even ask for, right? It's communication, it's flowing in, flowing in, and then Venus. Virgo. I like to think about it. It's the Mercury, but in a more laser. It's gonna go in. It's drilling. These are two different styles, so you can really see the attention there. So think about in your life, you might be feeling that when it comes to information. You might feel overload of information. At the same time, I just want us to be aware of that as we get started. So on July 3rd, we do have Mars Uranus conjunction in Gemini. Hello. This one, we're gonna feel it. So get ready for that one. I'm already getting ready mentally. And again, This is a forecast. So I want us to start having fun with these things. Like, what? I know, I can't believe I just said that. But maybe we can learn to change our perspective a little bit instead of thinking, oh my God, now what? Again, when does it end? But because it never ends, there's always something else around the corner. So we need to really learn and work hard to frame our mind and see this as a dance that is happening. And then you dancing, you jumping through hoops. It's fun. Let's just have fun and join the game because the game is happening with or without you, and you're going to be dragged into it, right? So let's approach this also like a weather forecast, right? We're not getting throwing throwing shoes at the TV when or the radio or however you listen to your weather channel, right? You just take it as, okay, it is what it is. On Monday, it's raining. All right, cool. I'll just take an umbrella and dress accordingly. Okay. On Friday, it's snowing. Okay. I bring up my coat. So that's how I want us to approach the forecast, right? As in, we know, oh my goodness, on July 3rd, Mars Uranus conjunction in Gemini, it's going to be intense. That way we can think, oh, if you were thinking about a massage, that day might actually be the good day to schedule it in and avoid people. But anyways, just really ground because as we all, many of us have explored, have gotten acquainted with Uranus, which is that very quick changing energy and like a light bulb, right? And then Gemini, which is information. Mercury, fast. All of the information coming at you really, really fast. And then you have Mars, which is God of War, action. Think later, do first. I can now think later. So you can see how this is a lot of heavy energy. Like, whoa, that might be the day or the few 3 days, one day before the day and one day after, where you might take a little mini vacation of social media if you're still using social media. So that's what I wanted to say. Moving on the 7th, on the 6th, we do have Sun in Cancer. Wait, there was something else. What happened there? Of course, the sun is in Cancer because we are in Cancer season right now, but it's squaring Saturn in Aries. Now, this one is you you will feel that one too. So pay attention to your energy shift. And again, not judging because Saturn, as much as I love me some Saturn, I know I'll probably be like, no shame, okay? We're not going to be tolerating no one being Saturn shamed here. But no, I can appreciate Saturn because I'm the kind of person I like things that are long lasting, and that is pretty much what Saturn brings. But Saturn brings it with tension and questioning and forcing you to, I won't say forcing you to face things, but it will slow things down to the point that it's annoying you and bringing frustration. And then we have the sun, which is that vitality, that energy that's out there. It's you. So you could see how you could see that, you could feel that tension. So be aware of that. And then we have Neptune going retrograde. So that is going to bring some floatiness, right? But then retrograde, we need to stop being scared of retrograde also. Retrograde, I know every time Mercury goes retrograde. Oh my God, did I talk about Mercury retrograde yet? No, I didn't. So, by the way, we're also in a Mercury retrograde right now. So we literally just entered. And also, as Mercury retrograde, Neptune is also going retrograde. So you can see how July is very, very spicy energy. There's a lot of things going on, lots of intensity. So we do have, with Neptune going retrograde, we do have that bit of a floaty feeling, right? Neptune gets some bad rep as being the 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 druggie of the, I'll say it how it is. That's how most people see Neptune, the druggie of the zodiac, right? Where it's just like people don't really tend to appreciate or even know what Neptune is about. And this is why I make it my mission. I do appreciate Neptune and I want us to talk more about that. So stay tuned for these things. But we need to understand that Neptune is the realm of dreams. We always say that we want a new reality, but guess who is like, this is Neptune? We say illusion, but it's not illusion. It's illusion because it hasn't crystallized yet. It hasn't shown up in the physical world yet. But think about it. You think about it, before, when the Wright brothers were dreaming about the plane, where all the ones that came before them, people call them delusional too. It seemed like an illusion back then, but it needed, that's all Neptune, right? It's like tapping into that other realm, all these dreams that are all possibilities, because everything already exists. It's just bringing them, manifesting them into our 3D physical world. But we need Neptune to do that, and also Saturn that shows up and help crystallize this energy into the 3D physical plane. So there's so much more to the negative stereotypes that are attached to these planets. That's why I want us to stop being so scared of all of those transition and start seeing, yeah, but what is the opportunity that is showing for me now? How else can I see that? How can I take my power and roll with this and seeing how this is happening for me, not to me, not against me. And then we do have Venus conjuncting the South Node. On that time, you can feel tired. So check in with yourself because, again, Venus, the South Node is pretty much representing what we need to leave behind, right? And you might feel that in tiredness because Venus is, again, like I said before, is in Virgo when this is happening. And Virgo, as much as we love our Virgo energy, right? Virgo, the shadow side of Virgo is that it's very easy to get locked into self critical mode, self worth, thinking not good enough, and it's not a good place for Venus. Venus is our goddess, and she has great desires. She loves all the good stuff. We don't want Venus to get stuck in in shadow Virgo land of self criticism. So now that you putting this, the self criticism, right? You putting it into the South Node, all the things that were comfortable, but we need to leave behind. You can see how there can be a certain and a very intense energy of self deprecation. So do be on the lookout for that this month also. And one thing that I wanted to say, then we do have Mercury Casimir on July 12th, which is pretty much all that you need to know for that is be mindful about communication, right? Because this is not the month where I feel like this is not the month to go heavily aggressive on communication because again, Mercury is retrograde for most of the month until the last week. There's nothing wrong with Mercury retrograde. We're not meant to be scared of it, but we need to start seeing retrograding as a stop sign or at least a slow down, not stop, perhaps slowing down and going inside and assessing and see where did we make certain mistake, what can we just reframe, reshape, work on. It's like that time where we go back to I don't know why I started talking so slow. It's that time where we supposed to go into the editing room. Okay. And then we do have, where was I? There's so many notes here. And then we have the day right after we have Venus square Uranus in conjunction with Neptune and Pluto. Technically around July 13th, if it's gonna be a heavy, intense day where we have a, like a huge aspect in the sky between like Neptune, Pluto, Uranus. It's just gonna be a very intense energy. So you can mark that day on your calendar on July 13th when you go out there. Just be ready to just let things slide easier, right? Perhaps it's not the time. If someone cuts you off on the highway, just let it go. Let it go. And then on July 14th, we do have new moon in Cancer conjuncting Mercury that is retrograding. So what that means is that Mercury is going to be deep in its feels. I'm thinking about that Drake song in the feels. So Mercury is going to get very sensitive, thinking about home, safety, and a lot. Sometimes you might feel that there are some period of your life where you don't you might feel like you stuck, but you don't know what to do. You can't see clearly, you can think clearly. All you know is that you're feeling very heavy. Like lots of deep emotional feelings are coming to the surface. This is the invitation to just sit in there, because the thing is, we all want solutions and answers, but there's a process to things. We need to sit and feel the feels. And then the window opens, and then the cloud parts down, and then we hear that sound, ah, and then we get all the divine answers. But we need to stop trying to skip steps. And I'm talking to myself too, by the way. So be aware of that. Mercury communications, people might be on edge, might be sensitive. If you're in a relationship, watch out, like the partner. That might not be a good time to pick up fight. People are gonna be a bit more on edge, and just be aware of that. Might be the time for us who are aware of these things. We're being called to be the bigger person here, okay? And then we do have, where are we? There's so many things. On the 19th, Mars sextile Saturn, that is usually supportive. Sextile creates a supportive relationship. But then we're talking about Mars and Saturn here. So this is where you can be careful. You will tend to notice an energy shift. So just be careful and notice these things. It's not a bad warning or anything, but I think it's so much fun when we start being aware and noticing, oh, here's that change coming up. And then you like floating with it. You just observing yourself from another vintage point, and it starts being really cool when you get to that, when you're able to do that, even if it's not every time, but just being able to do it more and more changes life. It's just you start moving very, very, very differently. And then we do have Jupiter on the next day. Jupiter opposes Pluto, Neptune trine, and sexting and sextiling Uranus. So this is going to be another intense day on July 21st. And finally, we do have the sun enters Leo, starting the Leo season on the 22nd, which is going to be very exciting because we could all use that energy by that time to lighten up the mood a little bit, bring up some sun and vitality. So that is something. There's going to be lots of potent energy on the July 22nd, especially after all of those crazy, this crazy movement in the sky. Definitely look up for that. And then on the 24th, finally, Mercury goes direct. Probably gonna check in and talk about that closer to the date. But this is when you're supposed to start getting those downloads again. The communication supposed to get better. But then again, it's not just the only thing happening. There's other things also happening, as we can see. So just be aware that on the 24th, things can start moving up again when it comes to mental communication and that activity there. And on the 27th, I'm actually really excited for that. The lunar nodes shift. So, what that means is that we do have the North Node, which represents where we should be heading as a global collective, and also see where does it fall in your own chart, what house, because it's going to tell you, it's going to cue you in to like, what is the new mission statement here? So, we do have the North Node, our direction, that is leaving Pisces and that is entering Aquarius, the sign of the collective. And that is going to be the new agenda now. And then we do have the South Node that are going to be also moving. I spaced out. Yeah, it's an axis, right? So pretty much the nodes are moving, and we are going from Pisces, Virgo to Aquarius. So we need to be really aware of that. I do beg you to check where this falls into your chart, right? As it falls, because I personally am really excited about this one, and it's going to be really exciting. Definitely going to be talking about this much more. I feel like I'm stumbling on my words right now because there is so much I have to say about this one. And my brain is just fighting because when I'm just having a fight in my mind, like, do I say this, do I cue this in? But then I'm like, no, 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 we're not supposed to talk about all of this in this episode, just keep it short. And then my brain just short circuits for a second. So all this to say, we will dive deeper into this because I think this is huge and it requires a very different episode to do. Be on the lookout for the nodes episode that are going to be coming out soon. And then that's it. Venus is going to be perfecting, is square with Mars on the 28th as an exact angle. And then finally, we do have a full moon combination on July 29th. Did I talk about Jupiter and Gress's Leo? I think I did. We talked about that. Well, right now, Jupiter is pretty much in Leo. So that is also something, I should probably start it with that. This is something that we are going to be talking about also. Oh my goodness, this was long. So this is the activities that's happening, the forecast for the month of July. And if you didn't take anything, if you just thought that was way too much, just think that your task this month is to go with the flow. Surrender. Fighting is futile. You can't win this. No, but all jokes aside, let's all learn to go with the flow and also um, listen to ourselves, listen to the body, and also what I wanted to say is grounding, lots of grounding, right? Especially on July 3rd and a few other dates I mentioned. Just find your center. And if you're feeling some kind of way, no, you're not weird. No, you're not too emotional. You're not too this. That is just the weather that we are going through right now. And soon we will start seeing a greater picture and understanding what the hell is going on here. And in the meantime, my love, keep shining bright like a diamond as usual. You can always book a session with me. That way we can really see how all of these transits impact you personally. And I will see you and keep shining bright like a diamond. Bye, my love.